Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week to This Georgia Clay. Of course, we're back in my office and I had to set the mood. So I just set up this little candle here, but then also I have the cabinet underneath so I can store it at any time. But in this week's vlog, we are getting into my built-in. I'm looking at it, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's so beautiful, it's feminine, it's so me, and I love the space because you'll be able to see throughout the next course of vlogs the differences in both of Matt and I's personality, which comes off in our office. And we look at it and it's like, it's crazy. It's like night and day, like in our office. Well, I'm day, he's night in his office with me in black. But again, let's go ahead and get into this week's vlog. Alright guys, so let's start off with the inspiration behind my office. I've always said multiple times that inspiration is just to give you an idea, somewhere to start, a basis, but I never copy my inspiration, so let's get into it. So last week we went over to Ikea, and you guys saw that on the vlog, and I got my pieces that I wanted to kind of go with my inspiration of what my office is going to be. Obviously in the first clip that you saw, the Inspo picture, that looks more like a custom built-in, but I wanted to put my own twist and style on it and take some of those nods and then also incorporate my own style as well. So here's the Havsta unit that I'm using. I knew that I wanted some type of shelving in the office, but I wanted it to be with glass and I wanted it to be just a little bit more feminine and classy looking. I was going for more of a vintage kind of style within my office space with glam. Also wanted something a little bit softer, and I know in that inspiration picture she had a nice white, looks like she kept with the same scheme for her countertop, but for me I just wanted to add a little bit more pizzazz to it, so I went with this faux marble look. And so of course with Ikea, getting any type of products from them, you have to come home and it's in a million pieces. Please excuse my home, we are in transition. I feel like we're in constant renovation in our house and it completely looks like that, so we have things everywhere, but that'll be in a later vlog where we actually get everything back to normal and we can live in a nice beautiful clean home again. So Matt's just helping me put together the Hemnes Dresser here. Of course, I'm working as well. Seems like he takes over the projects when I start working, but we try to do a team effort and try to help each other. So here we have to go over and cut off the legs of the Hemnes Dresser because it was a little bit too tall. If I would have kept it the normal standard dresser height, then obviously my desk would have been way too tall. So I just took it over to the table saw, cut the legs down completely off the dresser, to bring it to, I believe, 32 inches was the height of the dresser once all the legs were cut off. So this is when we start to get into making the dresser more tailored to my style, to my personalization of the space and how I was going to use it. So don't be afraid that just because you buy a piece of furniture that you have to use it the way that it's meant to be or designed. You could always tailor it and fit. Of course, I'm not saying not to use it in the way that's safe. I'm just saying that if the legs are too long, cut the legs off. Just make sure that you have something that is nice and sturdy. And for this particular furniture piece, sometimes, you know, when you purchase Ikea items, they can be a little flimsy. It just depends on the particular one that you choose. But the Hemnes Dresser, I was surprisingly surprised by it. It was nice and sturdy. It was thick. It was beautiful. It was a nice piece for the price. Okay, let's talk about the whole Ikea thing. When I first did my very first Ikea hack, I complained, quote unquote, some people said I complained about the directions for Ikea. I would prefer words, but the pictures are not so bad, okay? So let's go ahead, put it to rest. I'm a fan of Ikea now on certain items. I will not buy everything that Ikea sells, but for this project, Ikea worked just fine. I love to be transparent, so let's talk about price. Now I went back and forth and I thought about, okay, what if Matt builds me a custom built-in for my space? How much would that cost? What would be the time associated with that, because time is money? And what would be more beneficial? What would give me the best bang for my money? So I decided to go with the Ikea product because it just provided that look I was going for as well, because it was some type of drawer element that I wanted in my built-in. And so the Hemnes dresser fit that profile. And also it provided the look with the glass cabinets, because we're pretty good, but we haven't gotten on that scale yet of building glass cabinets and door fronts and things like that. So I just wanted something that I knew Matt had to do his own office, and I didn't want to make it seem as if this project was going to go on for I don't know how long, because he's trying to build his office and he's also trying to build mine as well. So it just became something that just made sense. So all in all, about $800 was my all totaling cost. That includes my shiplap, that includes the dresser, the Havsta unit, which is a glass cabinet, and it includes my countertop as well. I think that's pretty good, because when you factor in the time of labor that it would have taken for him to build everything, because again, he should be getting paid for some of his services. I don't pay him, but someone should be paying him. And then also for the wood material as well, because wood fluctuates in price as well. So that's something that you have to factor in. Is it beneficial just to buy something that's already prefab, customize it for my space, or should I just build it? And that's something you personally have to make that decision on, depending on your product. But for me, this worked. And if you want to do something similar as well, I highly encourage it, because you'll see the end result and it's absolutely gorgeous. So again, with this project, it was big box store meets custom. So it was kind of a good blend on that. Matt had to install 1x2 on the back end of the dresser so we could adhere it to the wall. You'll want to make sure that you have some type of support system. The back of the framing of the Hemnes is kind of thin, where it wouldn't really provide that structural support that you need. So if you're just going to screw the back of that, I guess it's particle board to the wall, you may have an issue where, what if, you're pulling out the dresser too hard and it comes, away from the wall? You'll have to think about all of those little things, intricate things that make the dresser functional, and you'll want to make sure that you get the longevity out of it. So I encourage you, again, depending on your space and what you're going to be using it for, if you should add those extra secure elements, just to make sure that it stands for the test of time, or however long you're wanting to have this product in your home. So now it's starting to come together, and I love it. I love the interior of those drawers. Like, I didn't know that it was going to have that particular print. I saw it in the store, but I thought maybe they put something at the bottom, like some contact paper, but it actually comes that way, and it was really beautiful. I love the drawers again, but I hate those knobs, so you'll see me change that out. And again, that's something that makes a great impact. Hardware is always those small details that everyone overlooks, but it really changes something. So now here you see us putting the countertop on, and Matt's looking like, wait a minute, something's not right. Of course, we know that it's too far out and we need to make a change on that. So you'll see that. Or can you run the cord if you come over or something to make this countertop work? Can't we just put a hole in the back?
What about the drawers? The drawers.
What about them? We'll still be able to open it. It has nothing to do with the back of the thing. We really need just one hole at the top. Okay, let me address that. So I don't know what I was saying. Sometimes, again, I'm not the builder, I'm the creator. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to figure it out and tell him like, okay, we just need a hole here. And he's like, what the heck are you talking about? So I don't know. Anyways, we're trying to change up the functionality of the room and trying to see what would be the best way. I knew I wanted the Hemnes dresser on the left side and not against the wall, but we were trying to make this particular countertop work because it was the shorter one. We didn't buy the 8-foot long countertop, so we wanted to see if we can make it work. I didn't like the look, so we ended up taking that countertop back, But let's go ahead and move on because there's nothing that we can do about it right now. So Matt's starting to put the Havsta unit together for me. I think he was putting this together while I was gone. I don't know where I was, but again, he's putting that together, and it started to really come together. It was so beautiful and just so dainty, and I just love it so much. It's so pretty. Here's Matt putting on the base of the unit. Again, this is something completely custom. I wanted to lift up the Havsta unit a little bit on the desk. So that back piece that you see was kind of thick, and so we decided to use that to attach that to the studs in the wall. As you can see here, he's just putting on the front plate, which are normally, if you're following the directions, you would put it all together in one seamless unit. One thing also I wanted to mention as well is you see the top of the Hemnes dresser does not have the top that it comes with on. I didn't need to use that because I was using a countertop as my top for the dresser. So again, that's another customization that we did on that. So here's Matt creating some type of support to go underneath my countertop just to make it more sturdy. You'll want to make sure that you do that as well because you'll have a situation where if you're putting too much weight on it, it'll flop up. So you'll see that he's cutting that down for us, and it's just a 2x4. So now since we made our journey back to Ikea to get a new countertop, it was time to cut it. I made sure before we cut it that I chose the right side that I wanted because I wanted the most veining to appear on the desk. So here's Matt just making the measurements for me. We used similar measurements to my previous desk that I already had, so it's about 19 inches deep. And then of course we cut it to fit within the space that we have. So from where the Havsta unit starts into the wall is where we actually made the measurement. I also wanted to have a lip. So I wanted to have a little bit of an overhang of about, I think I went with 1.5 inches on all sides, so the front of it and also the side of the unit as well. That's not normally something that you would do. Normally you try to make it flush with the countertop in the unit itself or your built-ins or whatever that you're using below the countertop. But for me, I wanted to have just a semi-delicate overhang. So that's a personal choice. Again, another customization. Matt's just making a track there using his circular saw. And if you don't have a circular saw track, then of course you can just make a jig and cut it. So we're just doing that now. So I chose to do the layout this way because I felt like I didn't want to be as soon as you enter the office because of course I'll have double doors, and I can't wait to put a door on that back wall. As you guys will see, there's still not a door there, but it will be a door next week. But anyhow, so I chose to be on this side is because I wanted something that was just, I didn't immediately have to look at the equipment when I walked in. Everything would be kind of tucked away against the wall, and then I can push everything back so that way the built-in itself or the cabinet will cover most of my equipment, so I didn't necessarily have to look at it. And then also just visually it just looked better to be on that side there, and it worked out as well with my plugs and the dresser unit where we could just put a hole at the top of the countertop using a circular jigsaw, so that way it just made more sense. So here's Matt, he's just tracing the back of the cabinet against the wall, so he's making sure that he can make that cut with this circular saw, I believe is what he used, just to make sure it's more flush against the wall, so I would have less gap. Actually, it looks like he used a jigsaw, so I would have less of a gap there, and I can just, of course, use some caulking to make it as flush as possible. But that's something, again, that you'll want to just make that difference. Instead of having a huge gap, make sure just to do a little quick scribe against the wall, so that way it just has more of a fit. So once I slid that in place, it just provided less of a gap. And of course, go back with some caulk to make it look a little bit more professional. Of course, I'm always wiping something down. So Matt's taken off the countertop here now that he's gotten my approval of where it's supposed to go, and we're just making sure it's perfect. He's putting in some corner braces for me just to make sure that it's extra supported. It's not something that you necessarily would have to do, but he's just doing that for me just to make sure that everything is nice and flush and beautiful. So he's putting those on there. Again, he built the support for the countertop just to have that there, because it essentially just hangs. It's a floating countertop from the other side of the dresser per se. So we're just making sure that it's there. I'm applying some pressure so he can screw into the countertop to make sure that everything is nice and flush. So here we are putting the Havsta unit on there. We went back and forth and just seeing where the placement was going to be. Ultimately, we decided to line up the corner of the Havsta unit with the corner of the dresser itself. At first it was kind of going to be in the middle, kind of floating, but I wanted to be able to utilize as much counter space as possible, and it just looked better that way. Also, here you see that little overhang that I wanted. So again, nothing too invasive. It's just nice and minimal. Alright, so already doesn't it look so beautiful? But of course I wasn't done because I needed to make it stand out a little bit more. So here's my idea of where the shiplap was going to be. It's actually a mock-up for a friend that I was sending. Actually, her name's Meg, and I was sending her a picture of what my inspo was there. So I went and got some shiplap. This is not your traditional shiplap. It's really wide and thick. It's, again, all wood. We usually use pine shiplap. We started using MDF when we first bought our house, but quickly decided that that was not the look that we wanted to go for, and so we've been using real shiplap. So with it, it just created that nice seamless piece, and it just started to come together and made the Havsta unit look more like a built-in rather than just a cabinet sitting on top of a desk per se. And I just love how it's coming together. You guys see that chandelier? You'll see all of everything come together next week, but it's starting to look beautiful. So like I said, I hated those knobs, and this was something for me to personalize, so I decided to buy these knobs that I got from Amazon. They're just delicate, just really nice round knobs, and I have two different sizes. It doesn't look like it, but the Havsta unit itself has ones that are about, I would say, a 1/4 inch smaller than the ones that are on the dresser. It's not a very subtle change or huge dramatic change, but it's just a nice subtle change from one size to the other, and I just feel like it just makes it look gorgeous. Guys, so let me know in the comments what you guys think of my beautiful built-in. I feel like it's so classy, it's so vintage in here. I wanted something that was very feminine, that have those vintage touches. You'll see in next week's video all the little choices that I decided as far as the brass knobs, and I just wanted everything to be dainty and delicate and just super duper feminine. I think this is a space that I love to be in. Even when I'm not working, me and Matt will still enjoy our offices and just come in here and just kick it and chill. So we absolutely love it. Still figuring out my desk placement and how I want my monitors and everything. Eventually I won't have a phone anymore, so it'll allow for more space within my desk area. The shiplap added a tremendous touch to everything. Still some places that I need to touch up just a little bit that we just added the touches today. But for the most part, I absolutely love it. Going with a wider shiplap was something that I've never tried before. Typically, I always use this size of shiplap, and I'll just show you really quick the differences. So here's the shiplap that I use, and this is the one that you normally would see inside the store. But I saw this shiplap and I was just like, I absolutely love it. I love the presence of it. It creates less lines, because if I had this one against the same space, I would have had more lines, and it just, to me, would have seemed more busy. So this is more expensive than considered going with this one, which is we still use real pine shiplap. We don't really use MDF any longer, but this is $16 versus this one being $9. So just, pick what you prefer, but this one was just the way to go this time around. So again, I wanted to go over, this is the Havsta unit from Ikea. With a base. It does not come with the base. The base is an additional amount. You don't have to get the base, but I wanted to create more height in this area. And then this is the Hemnes Dresser. It is a 3-drawer dresser, and I use it for just things here, like, for example, my decor pieces and stuff are in here. And of course, your girl loves Christmas, so I already told Matt I'll be changing this out for Christmas, and then I could put things in there as well. So that was important to me to have all of my items somewhere to put them. And then also this countertop as well is from Ikea. It is like a faux marble-like, and it also goes with my, what is this? My cup. What is that called?
A coaster.
A coaster. So yeah, it goes with my coaster as well. And that's real marble, but it gives the impression of real marble. But it is a laminate top, and it was very cost effective. It was only $100, and it gives a huge presence in here. I'm all about the details, and I wanted my space to be comfortable and beautiful and serene, and somewhere for me to enjoy working. And Matt loves it because I've been getting in some more overtime, so he's all about that. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in this week to This Georgia Clay. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and most definitely share this one with a friend, because it is absolutely my favorite. But I can't wait for you guys to see Matt's office too when we do it, because his office is banging. But again, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye guys.